Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. It's Bibi here, and today I'm going to be sharing some ideas and stamping tips using the Tonic Craft Kit number 8. This kit includes a mini embossing inkpad or clear ink and also 2 small containers with embossing powders. There is also a huge bottle with glitter, twine, Nubo drops. Also includes this large clear block, which is fantastic. You can see here the block. You can grab it from here and stamp. You can see completely through it, and you can also apply a wide variety of techniques just with that block. But today I'm going to focus on the kit. So the kit also includes paper, like always. It has this beautiful textured paper and other papers like you see here. I love these papers and these colors are my favorite. However, you know, when I sit crafting, I just feel in the mood to use one color or another. So I made a project using the papers or some of the papers in the kit, but I also made my own kit. So this kit also includes a stamp set, and it has 6 individual stamps. So you have 2 stamps to stamp a background or to add textures to your projects, and it also has these little sentiments here to stamp a small banner or to create a kind of a label on the boxes that you can create with the dies in the kit. So now let me show you the dies. You can see here this kit has a bunch of dies as always. There are 13 dies in this set, and I just put them here on this magnetic sheet to show you the dies better. So you get these 2 dies here to create a very basic box design. Of course, you can start creating and making different things with those dies. There is 5 small decorative dies, which are these ones here, and with these ones you can die cut this panel on the boxes. So all those panels are there. So this means that you can create 5 different box designs right there. So 3 intricate die designs to die cut this area of the boxes here. So there you have an option to create other 3 box designs. Something about these dies is they don't have a die cutting edge. For me, it was a very good surprise when I die cut this paper just to try all the dies, and I saw that they don't cut a perfect edge around that intricate detail. That means that you can create a whole panel, or you can die cut a whole panel using these dies. So you have 8 panel designs there. Of course, you will have to do a lot of die cutting if you use the small dies, but you can see here more or less. I just made this very quick for you, so you can see more or less how the die cuts looks. You can use the die cuts on a box, or you can die cut the panel to create that intricate detail in the box. So there are many options for you here with this die set, as you can use any of these individual dies to create so many different things. Just to give you an example, I'm going to use this die to cut a piece of paper like so, and then I'm going to use it again, and I'm going to place it right in place there. You can use tape to fix that die to the paper, and then you are going to get a larger panel. All these dies are about 2.5 inch width. So you could create a decorative border or a decorative edge on any papercraft project that measures 2.5 inch width, or depending on the position of that decorative edge, it could be 2.5 inches height. So I like to work with dies, like playing with them and see what shapes I can create or what I could do for you. And I have this idea to create a nice decorative border for a candle base, but I thought that was too easy for you, too simple, so I'm just mentioning it and giving you the idea. So this is the stamp set, and you will see how the words fit perfectly in this tag here. And there is also these stamps that will fit perfectly on those panels. And for the larger panel, all you have to do is to stamp twice and you will be done. So the stamps are also going to give you extra options to decorate the boxes, and depending the cardstock color you use and the ink you use, the sky is the limit. Can you imagine all the possibilities? However, I was playing yesterday and I have this idea to create a kind of Easter project or a beer house. So these are draft projects. I was playing with the paper and see how I could do this. Sadly, I didn't have the chance to finish the projects perfectly for you and try different paper colors, etc. But I still want to go ahead and show you how to use the dies, so in the way I guess they had been designed for, and also 2 alternative ways to create an alternative project like these beer houses. So the first thing I'm going to do is to die cut the paper. I need 2 pieces of each of the larger die cuts. And now I'm going to fold all the scoring lines like so. I'm going to put these 2 small pieces to a side, and I'm going to keep these ones here. So you see they are identical, okay? And now I'm going to rotate them like so, and I'm going to glue them just over the center. I'm going to make sure that I add glue on these little flaps here. I'm using this tape here just for demonstration purposes, but it's ideal to use glue, okay? It's better to use glue to keep those edges firmly adhered. So it's just to be quick, and once I have this done, all I'm going to do is to bend the paper like that and my box is done. So it's super duper mega easy to make this box, okay? You can use a super nice paper or craft paper, any paper. You can add a little tag like that and you will be done. So with this kind of little boxes, you can also create a small storage unit for beads or sequins. You can also go a little bit more chubby, and you can also add die cuts. Honestly, so many ideas. I like very simple projects, and I was thinking that this box will make an ideal wedding favor as well. So now I'm going to grab these 2 parts here, and there is a flap. So where is a flap, you have to add glue, and then I added glue there. And I have to be honest, at the beginning I say, what is this for? Okay, so I just put it together and I add glue in this, or this adhesive there. And when I finished, I noticed this was like kind of a band to wrap around this box, and I say, oh, look at that, this is even better. It's like a match box. So you know, these little boxes are awesome for a wide variety of things. It's tiny, it's 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and the height is 1.5 inches. So I just grabbed some flowers and leaves from the craft kit number 5, and I start adding colors with markers, very raw, very quick. I just want to see how it looks. You know, this is very basic. You can add a stamped image, a critter, or you can make the boxes in a nice paper. For example, the paper in the kit, and you will get a nice and elegant box. I sadly didn't have the chance to play with these tools a little bit more and perhaps making better finished samples. I feel these samples are just draft projects. They are a little bit quirky, but I still think that they are good enough to show you the basics of the kit. So one tip for stamping, because we get this huge block in the kit, is to place your stamp at the edges of the block, not in the center. I just feel that when you place the stamp in the center and you make pressure on it, and it's a tiny stamp, you might create a very thick lines or a blur image. So in this way, blur image, I don't know if you understand me, like the image is not perfectly sharp. So if you do it this way, you will apply the right amount of pressure and you will get a super nice stamped image. I'm also going to add nubo drops here. I like to tap my box against the table so I get that nubo drop more round and not so pointy. And I also like to add black dots and white dots all over my images, die cuts, or wherever I use is always a black dot on it. I think that adds a nice, interesting touch. So this is the first sample for today, and remember this little box measure 1.5 inches height and 2.5 inches width. So it's really tiny. So now let me show you another sample. This was an experiment. I wanted to create a kind of house-shaped box or a little paper house. I used the larger die in the set and I die cut 2 pieces of cardstock. Then I'm going to trim this flap here and the flaps at the side of the box, the little ones here, like that. So once I have this done, the die cuts are going to look like that. So they don't have flaps except for that one in the top. And I'm going to use that flap in the top as reference because that's going to be the roof of the house or the shape of the house. So I'm going to add glue in this area here and I'm going to overlap the die cut like so. So that's my roof and I was thinking in give a little bit of extra strength in that area by doing this. And now what I have to do is to put this together. So I'm going to use this tab here or this area of the die cut here has a tab. And then I'm going to glue the box like so. So there you have the house-shaped box. There are 2 things to resolve here, the button and how to open the box. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to create a slider box. And you will understand me a little bit better when I finish the whole thing. So now let me show you how I made the other part of this box. I'm going to use the medium die to die cut 2 pieces of cardstock, just as I did before in the previous sample. But this time I'm going to die cut that panel instead adding a die cut on top. Went a little bit shrink, but it doesn't matter because that's going to be hidden anyway. So I'm going to die cut that again. I'm going to create a window with that circle die. And using the same circle die and another one a little bit bigger, I'm going to create a frame. And I'm going to glue that circle frame over that window there just to give a finishing touch to all those raw edges there. And because I'm really bad at cutting with scissors, I decided to use the die to cut a piece of paper for the roof. So I got this piece here and I decided to add that piece of paper there. And also to give another try to the papers in the kit, I decided to add this piece of paper just behind that intricate die cut there. Then I'm going to put this together. This is the same part I made at the beginning of the video, which is like the band that you wrap around the little box. But in this time I also die cut another piece and I'm going to use this piece here to create a bottom for that box. So I'm going to glue this together like so. So in that stage, I was thinking in functionality and not in making a pretty box. This is a completely draft project. So then I grabbed the other part of the box and I slid it in and it worked perfectly. So that was a way to alter the original design or the original box design to make something a little bit different, just in case you want to experiment with dies and see how you can alter the original shapes. So now I'm going to stamp some birds and I'm going to place the stamps at the edge of the block and I'm using here Nubo Hybrid ink. This ink has to be heat set and then I'm going to add colors with Nubo alcohol markers. This is going to be ultra easy. I'm just showing you just to give you a reference. When you are adding colors to small images using this kind of pens or markers, you don't have to do any effort at all. These markers are extremely easy to use, they blend nicely together, and if you use them on Nubo Hybrid ink, the black ink is not going to bleed or blend, so it doesn't matter what you do, they are going to add that color and that beautiful finish to your images. Okay, so as I want this to be an Easter project, I'm going to stamp an Easter sentiment. And these sentiments are from the Tonic Craft Kit number 3. You can use any sentiment you want as far as it fits in that banner there. And from there, all I have to do is to put all the elements together and see how they look on that box. But to be honest, as I said, I wasn't minding about any fancy thing, but more in exploring how this will look. I really think that you can give so many different looks to this box. You can try to stamp the paper so the paper will look like wood. You can also use the stamps to add texture to the box, or to make a very simple and fun treat for children. You know, I always think in children because I have two small children and they keep me busy, and I like to make things for them. My toddler absolutely adore the other box I create, and I'm going to share with you at the end of the video. So it's the kind of things you do just to give to someone, you know, just spending time on that. I really didn't like the silver paper on the roof, and I think the roof needs to be a little bit larger, so I cut this piece of paper there to try to fix that. But then, as I say, this is a draft project, and I still feel it needs to be, or to have better finishing touches. So there is the box, and you can put some nice Easter eggs inside. So I'm going to show you here how I did that, just in case you were wondering. And you know, these boxes seems to be really small, but when I bought these packages with Easter eggs, they fit the whole package, so they are not so small at the end of the day, and they are pretty sturdy. I just used double-sided tape there, and I didn't adhere this properly, and they are still holding up all those Easter eggs. Okay, now I'm going to share a last project, and this is another alteration of that original box that you can create using the dies. So I'm going to use an A4 sheet of cardstock, and I'm going to cut it in half just because I want to die cut all the pieces for this box in one go. So I'm going to also die cut some flowers and as much as I can from that piece of cardstock. Now I'm going to cut this piece of yellow cardstock at 3 inches by 2 inches 3/4. And these pieces here are going to be the roof of the box. And I'm going to use this stamp from the kit and also the super large clear block in the kit to stamp the paper. I'm going to use this foam just to provide some cushion underneath the paper and to get a nice stamped image. And I'm also going to use the ink in the kit. And one of the good things about this clear ink is that you can stamp any cardstock color and the ink is going to look like if it was a little bit darker than the color of the cardstock. So it provides a watermark, but also that nice effect. So you see how nicely stamped are those pieces of cardstock, and I'm going to share with you an stamping tip. I'm going to grab any ink color, and I'm going to grab a piece of paper, and I'm going to stamp this image there. I'm going to make a lot of pressure, and you see the gap I get there? I'm going to try again and again, and you see I'm always going to get that gap. It doesn't matter if I change the position of the stamp on the block, because I'm going to keep getting that gap in the stamped image. So many stampers, or when you're starting into stamping, complain about your stamping platforms because you cannot get the whole image stamped, or because when you are stamping with some stamps, they don't stamp perfectly. It's not the stamp, trust me, it's the surface in which you are stamping, or maybe is the block. If the block is too big, you are going to make uneven pressure on the block, so it's very hard to stamp. So make it easy for you, put a piece of craft foam underneath the paper, and you see the results are completely different. And I'm also going to use this dotty stamp here to stamp these parts of the box. I'm going to show you later on how I'm going to use this, okay? So I made a crazy experiment to be able to build that little bird house, but it's not that difficult at all, I promise that. And now I'm going to grab the larger die cuts, and I'm going to assemble the box as normal, so there is nothing different there. This step here is completely optional. I'm going to look for the panels that do not have flaps, and I'm going to die cut this panel here using a circle die. I'm using here the Tangerine die cutting machine by Tonic Studios, but if you don't have a large format, die cutting machine, this panel is going to be too white, so it's better to die cut your panels, or if you are going to do any fancy die cutting on those panels, it's better to do it before sticking everything together. I just want a little window there because this is a bird house. So now I'm going to fold this area of the box like so. It's just to create a triangular shape there. And I'm going to trim this part here just a little bit. And I do the same at the other side. Now completely optional to stick a piece of acetate behind that window. I'm also going to trim this flap here and this one here. Now I'm going to glue the side panels of the box like so. Then I'm going to add an intricate die cut like the one I added for the previous box. I'm not going to show you how to do this because I already showed you in the previous box. And I'm going to trim the die cut like so, so it fits perfectly in the front panel of the box. I just glue this in place, and at this point your box is going to look like this. So you might need extra length of those lateral panels or the side panels to be able to create like the side of the house. So I'm going to use these die cuts here just like this. I tried different things and I think this is the best option I have at the moment. I'm sure you will find another ways to create or alter your boxes, but I'm just going to glue this here. And if you don't like to see that finishing edge there, you can just die cut a square or trim a square that measures 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and you can glue it at the bottom of the box just to cover those edges at the bottom. And then I'm going to make sure that these panels are completely stuck to the whole side panels like so. So here you have the very basic shape of this box, of this new box design. I used the same parts that I used to create the previous box, okay, the same die cuts, etc. And I don't mind sticking this side of the box to anything. I'm just going to leave it like that. It's an option. I also thought in leaving those flaps inside the box, like I'm going to show you here, just to close the box in this way and add a ribbon. But when I was putting this box together, I noticed that the flaps or the triangular shape at the front of the box is not even. So as it's not perfectly aligned, the box is not closing. So this box is going to go to the paper heaven, but I wanted to show you this because this is an option for you to close that box as well. Please remember that this is a draft project, but you can use these ideas to create your own box designs. You can create a barn or a little farm, a dog house. You can make a cat house if the cat has houses, yeah, I think. Well, you can create many different things with these little boxes. So my idea with the video today is to show you options. You know, you can play with your die cuts to create something fun. So inside the box, there are things to improve, you know, like a way to avoid seeing those panels like that. So I was thinking about it, and there are ways to improve the way this box looks inside. If that is any important for you, I think my children won't care at all. However, if you really care, as I do, about the finishing touches, you can make this box using a designer series paper or scrapbook paper. I cut extra panels to put inside of the box so that you're going to create like a lining for that box. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for more ideas and inspiration. Thank you very much for watching and happy crafting. Bye! Oh my goodness, and I'm almost forget. Happy Easter, everyone. Have a great day and a wonderful week. Bye!